Dear universe, I am finally ready. I want to manifest $100,000 a month, every month into my life, starting ASAP. So if you could please get a move on that, I could really use the money to buy a Tesla. Please and thank you. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kara and I am here to talk about how to manifest your desires with Buddhism. You've probably heard stuff like this before from your friends, family, or just random people on the internet wearing beads. And if you don't know already, it's called a manifestation and it's through something called the law of attraction. Naturally, I became curious and looked into how manifestation relates to Buddhism and Buddhist principles. And so today, what I'm going to share with you is the Buddhist view on manifestation, the law of attraction, the role that it plays in terms of karma, and how you can utilize this knowledge to manifest faster and more effectively. So let's get started by talking about what is the law of attraction. So everyone's heard of The Secret. You probably seen it 10, 15 years ago when it was really popular. It was a bestseller, sold millions of copies all around the world, and it's been made into a movie. It was very popular, and I think it brought the law of attraction into mainstream consciousness. So the law of attraction basically is the same thing as manifestation. It's just what the principle or the law that is used to manifest is called. The idea is certainly not a new one, and The Secret was not the first book or author to talk about the law of attraction. And it has since been popularized by coaches, gurus, celebrities like Oprah, Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, Napoleon Hill, and Neville Goddard. Essentially, if you're not familiar, the idea of manifestation is that you can think things into existence by wanting it and believing in it long enough and hard enough. The way to manifest seems to differ depending on who's teaching it and the methodology that you follow, but these steps seem to be quite similar. So you first have to know what you want, know what you want to happen to manifest, ask for it or imagine it. This is where you do a lot of visualization, and there's different ways to do that, where you go into kind of like a meditative state and use your five senses to imagine this particular scene, and then you believe that you are going to get it or already have it. And lastly, you receive. So you open yourself up to receive from the universe. Now, with tons of examples of people having a lot of success using manifestation to get what they want in life, people are going crazy. They are just jumping on board this thing like white on rice. My cat on catnip. Yogi. People are jumping on board this thing like crazy, thinking that if they can visualize hard enough with enough might to turn the steering wheel of fate, that the universe will just open up and hand them a Ferrari. So everyone is getting what they want and they're happy. So what seems to be the problem? Well, there is a few. For one, we have what's called a survivorship bias, which means we tend to hear more about the success stories of people who have successfully manifested and not too many around those who haven't. Thus, we have a bias towards the survivors, or the people who have found success, and we tend to think then that the likelihood of success using manifestation is much, much higher than it actually is. The second problem is there is not one right way to manifest, and so it's hard to know whether you're doing it the right way. There's not a founder of manifestation per se, and so there's not one true technique that everyone must follow in order to do it right or successfully manifest. So it's hard to know which technique to follow, which teacher or author or celebrity, coach or whatever to follow, because you just don't know if that is the method for you or that is the method that's going to generate the most success. So there's a lot of fracturing in terms of knowledge and the cohesiveness of that knowledge. The third problem too is that you don't know how long your manifestation is going to take. And so a lot of people give up before they manifested what they want because they're impatient and they wanted it yesterday. So they get angry and they swear off the technique and never go back to it again because they think it doesn't work. It's just all hocus pocus because they expected things to work out a certain way and it didn't, or they expected to receive a certain thing by a certain date. So what does Buddhism say about it? Well, it's very interesting, and so I'll start first with karma. And everything comes from your karma, and you can think of karma as seeds in your garden. And what you're experiencing in this life is usually a result of what you planted in your garden from your previous life. And so if you planted roses, it's going to blossom into, these beautiful flowers this life. If you planted weeds, then it is also going to grow and show up in your garden in this life. So according to karma or cause and effect, you're not able to manifest anything that you haven't planted the seeds for. It's like wanting to buy $1 million home with only $1,000 in your bank account. There's no such thing as a line of credit or loan equivalent in karma, by the way. And so if you're thinking like, oh, well, I can just get a loan to get the house, well, there's no such thing. And if you don't have good karma in your bank account, then you have no spending power. And even worse, if you have bad karma that outweighs your good karma, then it's only going to overtake what you see in this life and overshadow your good karma. Also, it takes time for karma to come to fruition. And so usually what you get in this life is already a result or the fruits of what you did in your previous life or lives. Usually you're not able to see the results of your good or bad karma until the next life. And this is usually the case unless you did so much good or bad deeds in this life that it's just like overflowing to the point where you see flower karma, where you get like a preview of what you're going to get in your next life or lives. And so you see people like towards the end of their life shriveled and like have these horrible things happen to them and just have a horrible death. That's usually a result of their bad flower karma. And the opposite is true. If they have good karma, it just shows in their environment, in their person. And so so that's kind of a case where you have an overflowing amount of either good or bad. It can kind of start to peek its head right away, even before this life ends for you. So if you're manifesting and hoping for it to appear in this life, just be prepared for the possibility that it might not happen, at least not right now. Now we're gonna get a little deeper here and talk about something that's very foundational to the teachings of the Buddha, and it's called the Four Noble Truths. I talked about the Four Noble Truths before on this channel a long time ago. You can check it out here. Do they do inserts anymore? I don't know. I'll link it. Whatever. It's really essential to understand the Four Noble Truths because it's really the pillars upon which all other principles of Buddhism build upon. And so really quickly, the Four Noble Truths are suffering, the cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the way. So the Four Noble Truths is like Newton's laws of physics. And so it's very core to Buddhism, and I want to emphasize this, especially if you're just starting out as a beginner. You have to understand this and understand its importance and how it plays into all the other concepts that the Buddha taught. And so because it's a law, basically, it can't be argued against. It's established facts of life, that there is suffering and that there are causes to suffering. There's a way to end suffering, and that the way to end it is through the Dharma or the truth or the Buddha's teachings. Without it, it's useless to even go further in Buddhism because all other points are moot. The second noble truth talks about what the causes of suffering is, and you would think there is 50 pages of a list of suffering that we humans have to endure, right? Uber Eats not getting your order right, someone that you were seeing ghosted you, or you not getting the job that you wanted. The list goes on, but you'd be surprised to know that there are only 3 things that the Buddha talked about that are the causes of suffering. And they are greed, anger, and delusion. And finally, how does this relate to manifestation? Well, since one of the causes of suffering is greed, what is at the heart of most manifestations? Yes, it is greed. Notice that I didn't say that all manifestations are based around greed. In fact, you can certainly manifest with a kind and generous heart. Desire in and of itself is not a bad thing. The Buddha never said that. Actually can't get rid of desire entirely until basically enlightenment, and so we kind of have to live with it. Just because you have desire doesn't mean you need to channel it into greed. And so the issue here lies in your intention, as with most things in Buddhism. Is what is your intention in this manifestation? Is it to have more for yourself and just accumulate more and more and more stuff? Like, what is the end goal here? Or is it to have more so that you can give more to others and take care of others better and inspire them and use your resources to help better the community and the world? So most manifestations are based around greed because it is just wanting more for the sake of wanting more. And I think what could be the most harmful when you manifest is that you're unconsciously telling yourself that you cannot find happiness unless you have this one thing that you desire. And so while you're manifesting your Ferrari, you're unconsciously telling yourself that I Unconsciously, you're telling yourself that you need this Ferrari in order to be happy, and that you cannot achieve happiness on your own without it. And without it, you will live a desolate, depressing life, and you will never find happiness without Ferrari or material things or outer circumstances to change. And that is a lot to rely upon in order for you to be happy, and that gives those things a lot of power. If you're watching this video or you've been following my channel, chances are you're interested in more than just manifesting things in the physical world. You're also interested in the intangible and the spiritual, and manifesting in the 3D, you'll find, is just a bonus. So let's find out how to actually manifest Buddha style. So whether you want things in the 3D, 5D, and beyond, if you follow these steps and these methods, you will for sure see a positive shift in your life. All right, you guys ready for this? I'm excited. So for manifesting in the worldly realm or the 3D, first you want to get rid of your bad karma, right? And the bad karma, they are the blockages to your desires, to your manifestation, to having a good life, anything, good spiritual practice. So there are 4 key points to getting rid of bad karma, and they are what's called the 4 R's. And they are regret, reliance, remedy, and resolve. Regret is regretting what you have done, and reliance is relying on the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha in the Buddhist teaching. Remedy is doing the right things going forward based on the teachings from the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And lastly, resolve is where you resolve never to do that thing again. And so the 4 R's will help you effectively uproot your karma so that you don't further create it, and that you can start planting good seeds for your future self. Now, to accumulate good merit and virtues, you have to practice the 5 precepts. They are listed here, and the 10 virtues, which are listed here. Because this video might be getting too long, I am going to make another video about them. If you are interested, let me know, comment in the comment section below, and let me know if you're interested in learning more about them. But you practice these things, especially for wealth. You want to be generous, and you want to give, and you want to give with the intention of solely giving and not expecting good things to come your way later on. So be generous in the mind, in the heart, in actions, right? And that is important, especially for wealth, which I know a lot of you are trying to manifest. Just keep that in mind. But my dear viewers, you know that everything is impermanent, right? Everything fades, everything dies, everything goes away eventually. And so whatever you manifest in this life, you won't be able to take it with you when you die. And that is a fact. And when you die, you are going to be reborn in another realm in the 6 realms. And because we're in samsara, this never ends, and it's a cyclic existence that is tiring and never ends. And you never know where you're going to end up, because it's all based on your karma, and it is quite tiring if you ask me. So you have to decide, is it more important for you to have it all in this life, Or would you rather invest in the ultimate prize to get out of samsara altogether and achieve enlightenment? Once you have experienced inner peace and find your true nature, you'll start to see that there are more important and valuable things in this life than material comforts. It's like Neo in the Matrix. The powers that you can have when you get out of the Matrix is incomparable to the people that are in it. And once you realize that, then it's time to move on to the next stage. So there's much more to spiritual wealth than just inner peace and a feeling of zen and having no thoughts. Real, true spiritual wealth comes from you taking the first step towards self-actualization and enlightenment. To summarize, manifestation isn't bad per se. That's not what I'm saying at all in this video. And in fact, I'm saying that it doesn't contradict Buddhism at all. You most definitely will be able to get whatever it is you desire if you have planted the karmic seeds for it. If you don't, it is certain that you won't get what it is that you're asking for because you just haven't saved up for it. Also, remember that what you're trying to manifest might not happen right away or even in this life. Most importantly, remember that material things are impermanent and can't bring you ultimate happiness and fulfillment, especially if you desire it from a place of greed. And instead, what you can do is invest in your future self by planting good karmic seeds, and even better, begin your journey on the path to enlightenment. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something today that you can apply to your life. If this has been helpful for you, please like and subscribe, as this will help my channel and help me produce more content like this in the future. I would like to know from you what you would like to manifest in your life in the comments below. And click here to watch the next video.